It is just wonderful to be back in Oregon, and over the last 15 months we've traveled to every corner of the United States. I've now been in 57 states.
The 57 states of Barack Obama. When Barack Obama said he had visited all 57 states, was he telegraphing his vision for a future America? If he was, what would those 7 additional states be? In this video, we're going to look at those potential states and what the chances are of that happening. The number 1 candidate for the 51st state is Washington, D.C. Statehood is so important in D.C. that the slogan on car license plates is,
"End taxation without representation."
That's because residents of Washington, D.C. pay full federal income tax without having full representation in Congress. Numerous attempts have been made to make Washington, D.C. into a state, going all the way back to 1867, but it's really caught fire recently. Both Bill Clinton and Barack Obama endorsed the idea of Washington, D.C. becoming a state. As late as 2021, there was a vote for D.C. statehood that passed the U.S. House of Representatives before dying in the Senate.
Statehood for the district is about showing respect for our democracy. It's not just about the district, it's about our democracy.
Beyond approval by Congress, there's a second problem. The U.S. Constitution specifically identifies the District of Columbia as a federal district. This leads some opponents to argue that in addition to the congressional approval, you will also need an amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Let's listen to what Pennsylvania Congressman Guy Reschenthaler had to say about that in 2021.
The 23rd Amendment grants 3 presidential electors specifically for the district. The original meaning of the district in the Constitution and the necessary repeal of the 23rd Amendment requires an amendment to the Constitution in order for D.C. to even become a state. Just don't take my word for it, though. Since 1963, every Justice Department, Republican and Democrat, that has addressed the issue of D.C. statehood has concluded that Congress does not have the authority to alter the status of the city legislatively. Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy thought it was inconceivable that D.C. would be granted statehood without repealing the 23rd Amendment, and the result would, quote, produce an absurdity, end quote. Again, those are the words of RFK.
In 1963, the 23rd Amendment was passed to give Washington, D.C. 3 votes in the Electoral College, thereby allowing D.C. residents to participate in the U.S. presidential election. Since the passage of the amendment, D.C. has a perfect record of giving all of its 3 presidential electoral votes to Democrats. Based on that record, it can be assumed that upon achieving statehood, the new state of Washington, D.C. would guarantee the addition of 2 Democrat senators and possibly 2 Democrat members of the House of Representatives, thereby diluting the power of Republican states. That will make it extremely difficult, if not impossible, to pass an amendment approved by 75% of the states. One workaround is to avoid going the constitutional amendment route and going with a trimmed-down D.C. federal district composed of the White House, the Capitol, and the remainder of the government facilities located in the heart of town. The rest of the district could be a new state, perhaps called New Columbia, but even this alternative would require 60 votes in the Senate, which would still be a pretty steep hill to climb.